All right. Good morning, everyone. The board will now come to order. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Middlebrook.
Present.
Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Evans.
Present.
Alderman Page.
Present.
Alderwoman Negracia. Alderman Coder. Alderwoman Rice.
Present.
Alderman Gunther.
Here.
Alderman Balmer.
Present.
Alderwoman Martin. Alderman Stevens. Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Present.
Alderwoman Howard.
Present.
Alderwoman Green.
Present.
Alderman Oldenburg.
Here.
Alderwoman Peel.
Here.
Alderman Todd.
Present.
Alderwoman Davis.
Present.
Alderwoman Spencer.
Here.
Alderman Muhammad. Alderman Boyd.
Present.
Alderman Vaccaro.
Present.
Alderman Narayan.
Here.
Alderman Cone.
Present.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Here.
Alderwoman Boyd.
Present.
President Reed.
Here.
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Negracia. Alderman Coder. Alderwoman Martin. Alderman Stevens.
Here.
Alderman Muhammad. 22 present, you have quorum.
The quorum being present, we are blessed today to be led in prayer by Pastor Alfred Gainey Jr. of Lily of the Valley Church on West Florissant. Let's give him a round of applause and welcome the quorum. Pastor Gainey, we're in your hands.
Thank you, President Reed. Let us pray. Father God, we come this morning in the mighty, matchless name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Oh God, this morning we thank you for your grace that you have told us is sufficient. We thank you for your mercy that's everlasting. Father God, we come this morning asking, oh God, first of all, you forgive us for our sins, oh God. And then we come asking, oh God, in the name of Jesus, that you would lift up our mayor of this great city, Tashara Jones. Lift up the president of this board of aldermen, Lewis Reed, and lift up all the aldermen and alderwomen who serve under them in this great city. In the name of Jesus, give them all the strength, all the humility, all the compassion, and all the honesty to serve the people of this city and not themselves. Lead them, oh God, and direct them, oh God, in your way. And as we look, oh God, in this month that we have set aside to celebrate Black history, Father God, let us not forget those that have gone before us in the fight for social justice and equality. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, William Clay Sr., Frankie Muse Freeman, Margaret Bush Wilson, Homer G. Phillips, Clyde Cahill Jr., Theodore Mike Billen, Ernest Calloway, and the many actors, singers, entrepreneurs, producers, athletes, musicians, dancers, comedians, politicians, pastors, and poets who has made and are still making this city great. We give praise, honor, and thanking you, oh God, for all that you're doing, all that you have done, and all that you will do. We pray this prayer in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
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 And Pastor Gainey, we're going to have you back, and I love the roll call.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you.
That was so fitting for especially this month, Black History Month. Thank you so much. You can stick around for the meeting, or you're free to leave now. It's up to you.
Thank you. I have to leave now.
All right, and we'll look forward to having you back again.
All right. God bless you.
All right, thank you, Pastor. We're going to suspend with our regular order of business to take up our courtesy resolutions calendar. Alderwoman from the 19th, you recognize on the motion for our courtesy resolutions calendar.
Mr. President and members of the board, I move to adopt our courtesy resolution calendar for today.
Alderwoman from the 19th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 14th. Alderman from the 22nd, you recognize on resolution, courtesy resolution 174.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I'm looking to see if my special guest is on. I do, yes, she is on. Cool. In honor of Black History Month, several members of the Black Caucus will be honoring on Fridays until the last Friday business superlatives who have been working diligently and hard in our communities and worthy to be recognized during Black History Month. And it's indeed an honor and a privilege to recognize Bryant Alterations, which is in the 22nd Ward at 5816 Dr. Martin Luther King Drive. I would ask that the clerk please read the resolution.
Clerk, please read the resolution.
Resolution 174, honoring Karen Bryant and her unique business, Bryant's Alterations. Whereas this honorable Board of Aldermen of the City of St. Louis during Black History Month recognizes and applauds the many years of excellent service of Bryant's Alteration, an African-American woman-owned business located at 5816 Dr. Martin Luther King Drive in the 22nd Ward. Whereas Bryant's Alteration has tailored and created fashions in the City of St. Louis for over 24 years, firmly establishing itself as reliable and skilled professional service. Whereas Bryant's Alteration did not start under this name. Its location was originally home to Kelly's Tailor, another family-owned business, Black business that maintained a successful reputation in the community for over 40 years. And whereas Bryant's owner, Karen Bryant, never had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Kelly of Kelly's Tailor, but for a short while had the opportunity to work for his wife, absorbing all the generous bits of knowledge she shared with Karen on the fine art of alterations. And whereas Karen has maintained her business in North St. Louis, providing excellent and professional services to the community and modeling skills not often seen. And whereas Karen cites that many people have helped educate her and advance her business. Seamstresses have come out of retirement to help her in her shop. Family members, clients, and friends have shared gems of information concerning her occupation, as well as small business matters. And whereas many people have chosen to label Karen as self-educated, in actuality, she first learned her craft at the most prestigious educational institution of all, the public library. Her mother practically raised her in the library, where she discovered a pathway of learning whatever her mind chooses to master. And whereas extending the help given to her over the years, Karen has shared her knowledge with many students. Some have gone on to create their fashions or small businesses. Notably, one student named Cassia now owns Sparkle Junk Boutique. Even more memorable is her 35-year-old nephew who helped her create and sew his wife's wedding dress. And whereas Karen's future plans for Bryant Alteration is to continue to provide quality customer service and a more structured educational environment for current and future students. She also wishes to bring more attention to the need for recycling and upcycling our clothing as a way to alleviate some of the destructive burden that discarded clothing has had on the environment all around the world. And whereas her ultimate desire is that people see Bryant's as more than just a tailor shop. Bryant's Alteration is a symbol of the Black community supporting and investing in entrepreneurial spirit of the Black woman. It is a symbol of Black families, Black neighborhoods, Black clientele, Black elected officials, and other small Black businesses that support one another, not with just money, but with patience, with kindness, with love, and true goodwill toward one another. Now, therefore, let it be resolved by the Board of Aldermen of the City of St. Louis that we pause in our deliberation to recognize and honor during Black History Month Karen Bryant and her unique business, Bryant's Alterations, for her many years of professional service and her work toward educating a new generation of African-American tailors. We further direct the clerk of this board to spread a copy of this resolution across the minute of these proceedings and prepare a commemorative copy to the end that it may be presented at the time and place to those deemed appropriate by the sponsor. Introduced this 11th day of February 2022 by the Honorable Jeffrey Boyd, Alderman of the 22nd Ward.
Well, Madam Clerk, thank you so much. That was a mouthful, I know. Well worthy of the read. I've had the great pleasure of knowing Karen Bryant for a little over 20 years.
Yes.
She was a neighbor around the corner on Ridge Avenue. Now she's a neighbor around the corner on MLK. She actually lived above her store, like back in the day, where a lot of businesses along MLK, the owners lived upstairs and their business was downstairs. And Karen just has a phenomenal good spirit about herself. She's always willing to share her knowledge. She's very health conscious. She's definitely, as the resolution read, is very pro Black businesses and working with Black businesses. I'm just so proud of her as a Black female business owner. And again, who cares about our community? And what's really inspiring to me about Karen is if you came on Martin Luther King, she's actually in between buildings that need a lot of help and a lot of work. But she has stuck it out for over 2 decades. And to her credit, she deserves, to me, more than just the honor of being recognized for Black History Month. We should really support this sister every day because she really, truly cares about our community. Mr. President, that's all the comments I have on the resolution. And Ms. Bryant, I'll turn it back to you.
All right, Ms. Bryant, if you hold for a second.
Yes, sir.
Alderman from the 23rd.
Yes, a couple things. One, eventually in a second here, I want to make a motion, we do it in bank. The other thing, Alderman Boyd.
I second.
And Alderman Boyd wants a second. Maybe he wants to even be the motion, but the other thing, I need Alderman Boyd to show me the way. I keep getting fatter and I don't know if you can possibly stretch material, but I'm,
There are ways.
well, we may have to do this because I can tell you, I either have to get all new clothes, go on a diet, and I'm not sure which. But I'm a short, fat guy, and I always have to have all my clothes altered because I don't do anything as wide and short as I am. I'm like,
No, that's good. The clothes should fit you.
yeah, well, that's why I have to get the alderman's gonna have to show me the way. Anyway, Alderman Boyd, if you want to make the motion, I'll be the second. It's
Go
totally.
ahead. I yield to you, Alderman.
Okay, then I would like to make a motion that we do this in bank.
I'll second.
Been moved by the Alderman from the 23rd, seconded by the Alderman from the 22nd, that we make resolution 174 in bank. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, please create another copy of the resolution and bank. Any further discussion? Any further discussion?
I'm gonna raise my hand.
Alderman from the 19th.
Thank you, Mr. President, and members of the board. I just wanted to say, thank you for choosing to stay in the city of St. Louis with your business. With all the challenges that we have, we do know that you have other choices. So we appreciate all that you do. And most especially when you give community service that allows other people to either have a dream or move into a business or a profession themselves. I applaud you. Thank you.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Any further?
Mr. President, one more thing. I would be remiss if I didn't say that Karen Bryant created a phenomenal prom dress for my daughter, Kayla, when she graduated from Metro. So if you want to see a sneak peek of some of the work, go on my Facebook page around 2018. It is a phenomenal, gorgeous blue dress. She looked like a queen. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now.
All right. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Alderwoman from the first.
Good morning. Sorry I'm late. Internet problems. Okay. I wanted to say that I don't know Miss Bryant, but I've been hearing about her for years from people in my community.
Wow.
People I know go all over to try to engage her. So I haven't met her personally. In fact, I have a bag full of things in my cars now that I want her to alter. So, because when you lose 40 pounds, you get your clothes altered, okay? And I'm bragging, by the way.
All right.
But anyway, so I intend to take it to Miss Bryant because I've heard so much about her, and I hear it all over my community. This woman is phenomenal. I can't say that word, but anyway, I want to thank the alderman from the 22nd Ward for bringing this resolution, because again, when you're doing businesses in our community and you're staying in the city of St. Louis, when there are a lot of things that would make people just get mad and leave, I'm very appreciative, and I want to thank her for her outstanding work and for continuing to do business in the city of St. Louis.
Wow, my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? I'm just going to say a couple things, and then we'll turn it over to Ms. Bryant for some comments. Ms. Bryant, this resolution is the highest honor the board has to give any organization or individual. And what it does, it cements in time some of their many contributions up until this moment, up until this time. So that 100, 200 years from now, when people want to go back and read the history of the city of St. Louis and read about fashion and read about some of things that happen around your industry in the city of St. Louis, they will read your story. And your story will now be a part of St. Louis's story in perpetuity. So we are so honored to do this for you today. Alderman Jeffrey Boyd, thank you so much for bringing this resolution forward. And to do it during Black History Month gives it even additional significance. It shows that you have done so much into this point where this board has chosen to adopt a resolution in bank. And what that means is that everyone here says, add my name to the resolution, so that history shows that I was part of that recognition on that day. So we're making history today with you. So congratulations on all that you've done thus far. Let's give her a big round of applause. Now, now the floor is yours, Ms. Bryant.
Well, thank you. I'm so honored and I'm so humbled. You know, I'm only as great as, you know, my people around me have supported me to be. And gosh, I have so much to say after all that, but I just want to say that St. Louis is a beautiful place. You know, I walk around the neighborhoods, you know, Central West End, nicer neighborhoods, and they have the same streets, the same sidewalks, the same beautiful buildings that we do. And you know, I can really see everything coming back. You know, this was always a fashion hub here in Missouri, and I think we can bring that back. We have so many young, talented, innovative youngsters that I think we really need to pull all our time and energy into my alderman, who has just been wonderful in this neighborhood. Him and his wonderful family and his daughters took it upon themselves to come around here as youngsters and learn to sew. And Kayla in particular with the prom dress, she designed her own prom dress. I just did what she asked me to do. And she had her own business up and running before she even went to college. So we have so many great youngsters around here. And so anything I can do to bring attention to them, you know, is grateful. It's wonderful. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thanks again, Ms. Bryant. Let's give her one more big round of applause.
Thank you. Praise Yahweh. Thank you.
Keep doing it. Keep doing it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
And thank you all for all that you do.
All right, thank you. Alderwoman from the 26th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Can you all hear me? I'm having, I guess, the same internet issues that Alderwoman Tyus had in my computer again. I don't know what happened. I tried to clean it off and everything, and it's still going out. So I'm on my phone, which is unusual for me. But I would like to introduce resolution number 173, and I'm asking the clerk if she may please read it.
Madam Clerk, can you please read resolution 173?
Resolution 173, honoring the head coach, Marvin Niels, PhD, and the Sodan High School 1981 MSHSAA basketball champion 40th anniversary. Whereas Marvin Niels, PhD, is one of the most well-known coaches in Missouri, a St. Louis native and a graduate of Sumner High School. Dr. Niels' coaching career began at Sodan High School in 1972 and remained for 18 years. Whereas in 1981, Dr. Niels and his Sodan High School Tigers, with a record of 28-3, were still underdogs to the highly ranked DeSmet Spartans, led by future St. Louis University head coach Richard Warrior. With a winning streak of 73 games and 3 state championships, and having coached NBA first-round draft pick Steven Spinalovich. Whereas at 8 p.m. on March 14th, 1981, at the Hearns Field House on the campus of University of Missouri Sodan basketball team with head coach Dr. Marvin Niels, assistant coach Clark Simmons, and players Troy Taylor, Delano Thomas, Ronald Davis, Robert Simmons, Earl Randall, Kevin Villers, Ernest Riggins, Claude Ross, John Jackson, Reggie Harris, Larry King, Darrell Barnes, Albert Randall, Jerome Borders, Charlie Franklin, statistician Dorothy Walker, Sodan High School principal Harold Greer challenged the highly ranked DeSmet Spartans in the Show Me State basketball finals. And whereas the Sodan High School Tigers would beat DeSmet Spartans by 13 points and accomplish the first and only Sodan High School Division 4A MSHSAA state championship. And whereas Dr. Niels' work influencing our children and inspiring them to be better actions on and off the basketball court as an ingenious leader that has started an epidemic of winning state basketball championships. His record is one of leadership and one with alterations that are deftly applied at having astonishing outcomes and inspiring Sodan High School students, basketball players such as Gene Marshall, Leroy Jackson, William Miller, Kenneth Cade, Stanley and Michael Coleman, Ricky Carter, and NBA champion David Thurkill, to name a few, to become winners, leaders, and men. And whereas Dr. Niels' list of professional honors such as Basketball Coach of the Year by Inner City Black Athlete Association, the Association of African American Role Models, the National Association of Basketball Coaches, honoree of Missouri Sports Writer and Sportscaster Association, selected to his alma mater, Sumner High School's Hall of Fame, and inducted into the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. And now, therefore, let it be resolved by the Board of Aldermen of the City of St. Louis that we pause in our deliberation to recognize the many achievements and honors of Marvin Niels, PhD, and the 1981 MSHSAA Division 4A basketball champions Sodan Tigers celebrating their 40-year anniversary. We further direct the clerk of the Board of Aldermen to spread a copy of this resolution across the minutes of these proceedings and to prepare a commemorative copy to the end that it may be presented to our honorees at a time and place deemed appropriate by the sponsor. Introduced on the 11th day of February, 2022 by the Honorable Shameen Clark Hubbard, Ward 26, the Honorable Louis Reed, President of the Board of Aldermen, adopted this 11th day of February, 2022.
Alderwoman from the 26th.
Thank you so much. Thank you for reading that, Madam Clerk. So, it speaks for itself. We know a lot of times with the coaches in St. Louis Public Schools and in schools in general, they are so much more than a coach. And that's why their legacy reaches so much more than the basketball court. And Mr. Neal, Coach Neal, as I affectionately call him, close to my family, of course, when I told you all about my grandfather being from Sumner and being AD at Sumner, it's like a family. PHL is truly a family in St. Louis Public Schools, and it's something for us to be proud. One of the many things that we're proud of in St. Louis Public Schools. So thank you so much for letting us introduce Resolution 173 in honor of Coach Marvin Neal.
Alderwoman from the 27th.
Yes, Mr. President, in honor of Black History Month, I'm asking if we can bank this resolution.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from 27th that we
I'll
make.
second that.
Second.
And bank. It's been seconded by the Alderman from 23rd, Alderman from the 14th, and someone else. Alderman from the 1st. Any further discussion? It's been moved and seconded that we make Resolution 173, courtesy Resolution 173 in bank. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, please make note of that. Resolution 173 in bank. Madam
So
Clerk?
noted.
All right, Alderman, okay, good. There isn't anything further. It's been moved by the Alderman from the 14th, 19th, and seconded by the Alderman from the 14th that we adopt our courtesy resolution calendar as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. That will turn our regular order of business. Introduction of honored guests. Any introduction of honored guests? Alderman from the 23rd.
As always, I'd like to have my good friend Greg Meyer as my honored guest today.
Welcome, Greg. Alderman from the 4th.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. As always, I'd like to nominate my good friend and very informative constituent of the Ville and the 4th Ward, Miss Julia Allen. Also, Laura Hughes and Carolyn Moore and Ed McFarland. Those are my committee people.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay, welcome. Alderman from the 26th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I would like to have as my special guest, and I pray to God he is watching because he wanted to make sure I had him as my special guest. He's not, his name is Whitfield Montgomery, but I affectionately call him Lil Pooh. And if anybody really knows him on here, he's not Little Pooh anymore.
Oh.
But he was honored here at the Board of Aldermen by former 5th Ward Alderwoman April Ford Griffin back in 2011. He's always been a bright star, shining light in the community in his tenure at Vashon High School and now in all the work he still continues to do in the community. So my honored guest is Whitfield Montgomery.
Yeah. Welcome. Little Pooh was my size when he was little. He's a big guy. He's big. Alderman from the 12th.
Thank you, Mr. President, colleagues here at the board. On a more humorous note, I would like my honored guest to be anyone with a 314 area code. in light of the 557 that's being introduced by the state. I don't know what that is. So the 314 area code is my honored guest.
Let's hear from 314.
Yeah.
Excellent. Alderman from 19th.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the board. I'd like to have as my honored guest, Tangela Bolden. She is the coordinator for the Community Schools Program at Vashon High School. She is a young woman who has articulated through her, she's working on her doctorates now, but still doing an excellent job with organizing for not only the students, but for their families to have additional resources come into the school. And she's partnering with everybody, and she's just dynamic. She needs to be held up in esteem, and I wanted to honor her today as my guest. Thank you. Tangela Bolden.
All right, Tangela Bolden.
Yes.
Recognize you on this day. Any further introductions? Any further inductions? Alderman from the 10th, like to wrap us up?
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. We're here on February the 11th, 2022, which is Don't Cry Over Spilled Milk Day, which doesn't mean a thing to me. But on this day in 1812, in the state of Massachusetts, a redistricting bill was signed into law by the governor, which favored his party. That governor's name was Elbridge Gerry, giving us the term we are all familiar with, gerrymandering. So put that in your notebooks. You've now been educated. Thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, approval of the minutes.
Approval of the minutes dated Friday, February the 4th, 2022.
Alderman from the 10th, you recognize on approval of the minutes.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I move for approval of the minutes from February 4th, 2022.
Move on
Second.
for the 10th and seconded by the Alderman from 22nd. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Report of city officials.
Report of city officials can be found in A, B, and C of the agenda and has been placed in the alderman's mailboxes. Dear members of the board, I have the pleasure to submit the following individuals for appointment to the Airport Arts Advisory Committee. The appointment of Mr. Gregory Glore, the appointment of Ms. Kiku Abada, the reappointment of Ms. Roseanne Weiss, the reappointment of Ms. Shelley Hagan, the reappointment of Ms. Stephanie Whedon-Smith, the reappointment of Mr. Carlos Zamora, the reappointment of Ms. Allen Gale. I respectfully request your approval of the appointments. Sincerely, Tashora O. Jones, Mayor.
Alderman from the 8th.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I would like to move that we accept the mayor's nominations to the Airport Arts Advisory Committee.
Moved by the Alderman from the 8th. And
Second.
Seconded by the Alderman from the
25th.
Hey, Alderman, you have to turn your video on. All right, entertain a second on that motion because Alderman from 25th is having video problems.
I'll second that.
Second by the Alderman from the 23rd. Alderman from the 1st.
Be sent to committee, so when it's appropriate, that's when I would like to address this issue.
Okay, excuse me, you broke up. We didn't hear the first part of you.
I said my hand was up because I'm going to oppose supporting these nominees on the floor, and I want to send them to committee. So I want it to be appropriate at the appropriate time. And if this is not it, I'll wait until it is.
No, this is the appropriate time.
Okay, so I am going to oppose this. This is a lot of these people are reappointed. None of them that I know of are from North St. Louis. The caucus members had a conversation about if that any of us were asked about it. I do not want this current administration to continue with the habits of the prior to mayoral administration, which is they didn't include people that lived many times north of Page. We have a whole community that lives north of Page because I'm one of them, and most of the Black aldermen, and that is a mistake. And I don't care what color the mayor is. And so I would like them, and also I don't know many of these people. I would like them sent to committee so we can vet them and we can see if this is a cross appointment of people who live all across our city, not just in the central quarter, South St. Louis, or that live south of Page. There is a community. So I'm continuing this objection from the previous two mayoral administrations, and I will continue it with this one. And I have told her not to reappoint en masse like this because it will be racist, because it will leave out a whole group of people. So I'm asking that this be sent to the appropriate committee.
Second.
Thank you all.
Mr. President, if I can rescind my motion and move that. You probably have to rescind a second, but I'm happy to rescind my motion and send these appointments. I believe it should be to the Convention Arts and Tourism Committee. Is that correct?
Or the airport.
No,
I don't.
Transportation.
That's fine.
I'll rescind my second.
All right. Alderwoman from the 8th, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we send the mayor's appointments to the Airport Arts Advisory Committee to the Transportation Committee.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 8th.
I'll second that.
And seconded by the Alderman from the 23rd. Any further discussion? It's been moved and seconded that we assign the mayor's appointment to the Airport Arts Advisory Committee to Transportation. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, please make note of that.
So noted. Dear members of the board, I have the pleasure to submit the following individuals for appointment and reappointment to the Locust Central Special Business District. The appointment of Ms. Nicole Lewis, the reappointment of Ms. Jennifer Prushner. I respectfully request your approval of the appointments. Sincerely, Tashara O. Jones, Mayor.
Alderwoman from the 6th, you recognize on the mayor's appointment to the Locust Central Special Business District.
Thank you, Mr. President. I let the administration know this morning. I was not aware this was coming on the agenda until I saw it last night, and no one asked me about moving it forward until just an hour or so ago, and I told them no. So I'm not able to move it forward today.
All right, thank you. We will move on.
Alderwoman Davis' hand is up.
Alderwoman from the 19th.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the board. I just wanted to add a little bit here. On these two appointments, we have been trying to get these done and vetted for about 18 months. And I know that I recommended Nicole. She's a resident in the Locust Business District boundaries. As she's young, I think she will bring some nuance to that. And also the reappointment is in the 6th ward, that's Alderwoman Ingracia. So when we get the opportunity, preferably next week, that we can get these moved forward, because the business district is short and they can't have meetings unless we get that committee filled. So I just want to give some information and move on.
Alderwoman for the 19th, would you like to make a motion to send these to committee? It's in order for you to make that motion to send them to committee if you like to.
I can send them to committee, yes, please.
All right, it's been.
I'd like to move that we send these recommended folks for the Locust Business District to a committee, the appropriate committee.
All right. Is HUD's okay with you?
Yeah.
All right, it's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 19th, and entertain a second on that.
Second.
Oh, HUD is fine, yes.
That again, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 1st.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. Madam Clerk, please make note of that. Send the mayor's appointments to the Special Business District to HUD.
So noted. That's the extent of report of city officials.
Dispense with line item 7. Would anyone like to take any bills or resolutions off of any of our informal calendars? Would anyone like to take any bills or resolutions off of any of our informal calendars? We will dispense with line items 8 through 10. First reading of board bills.
Board Bill 179, sponsored by Alderwoman Peel, an ordinance establishing 1,000 South Taylor Avenue Residential Parking District and the location and restrictions for curb parking within the 1,000 South Taylor Avenue Residential Parking District, and authorizing the placement of permit parking only signs and prohibiting the parking of any vehicle in the district Monday through Friday between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. that does not display the required permit, and providing penalty for violations and containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 180, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis. An ordinance recommended by the Board of Public Service to conditionally vacate above surface and subsurface rights for vehicle, equestrian, and pedestrian travel in the remaining 702.06 feet of the 20-foot wide east-west alley in City Block 3928, beginning 280 feet east of Vandervander and continuing eastward to its terminus, same being bounded by West Pine Spring, Laclede, and Vandervander in the city of St. Louis, Missouri, as hereinafter described in accordance with the Charter Authority and in conformity with Section 1 of Article 21 of the Charter, and imposing certain conditions on such vacation. Board Bill 181, sponsored by Alderman Oldenburg, an ordinance submitting to the voters of the city of St. Louis a proposal to change Article 4, Section 24 of the city's charter in order to increase the maximum fine that be assessed for violations of ordinances regarding the preservation and protection of environmental conditions in the city for the prevention of harm to the health, safety, and comfort of city residents, or harm to private or public property, such as the unauthorized dumping of waste or debris on private or public property, prohibited refuse, waste tire disposal, and the like, from $500 to $1,000, and providing for election to be held for voting on the proposed charter change and the manner of voting thereat, and the publication, certification, deposit, and recording of this ordinance, and containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 182, sponsored by Alderman Muhammad, an ordinance relating to the Board of Aldermen's officers and employees and their removal. Board Bill 183, sponsored by Alderman Bosley, an ordinance relating to the appointment of and salaries of certain employees in the city of St. Louis Board of Election Commissioners pursuant to 115049 and 115049 and 115045 revised statutes of Missouri, allocating certain other employees to a grade with rate and include an emergency clause. The provisions of the section containing this ordinance shall be effective with the start of the first pay period following the approval by the mayor. Board Bill 184, sponsored by Alderman Oldenburg, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment authorizing an appropriation consisting of funds received under the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, funds received into the city's capital fund pursuant to ordinance number 60491 as amended by ordinance number 61250, representing 1/2 of the operating balance of the general fund from the preceding fiscal year, and revenues accruing to the public safety infrastructure account of the Economic Development Sales Tax Fund, all for the purposes of funding capital improvements totaling $84,880,000 as hereinafter detailed and contained in an emergency clause. Board Bill 185, sponsored by Alderman Todd, an ordinance authorizing the honorary street name Dr. Samuel W. Hilton Jr. Way pursuant to ordinance 68937, which shall begin at the intersection of Fountain Avenue and Albert Avenue and run east on Fountain Avenue to the intersection of Fountain Avenue and Bayard Avenue. Board Bill 186, sponsored by Alderman Cone, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, authorizing and directing the issuance, establishment of terms, and negotiated sale of airport revenue refunding bonds not to exceed $20 million to affect the refunding of certain outstanding bonds, providing for the funding of any required debt service reserve funds for the payment of cost of issuance, appointing a trustee, approving the form of an indentured, and authorization, the preparation, execution, and delivery of such document and actions or as necessary or appropriate, repealing inconsistent prior ordinance provisions and contain a severability clause and an emergency clause. That is the extent of first reading of board bills.
Reference to committee.
To the Legislation Committee, Board Bill 181 and 182. To the Streets Committee, Board Bill 179, 180, and 185. To the Public Employee Committee, Board Bill 183. To Ways and Means, Board Bill 184. And to Transportation and Commerce, Board Bill 187. That's the extent of reference to committee.
Second reading.
The following board bill was reported out of the HUD Committee with a due pass recommendation. Board Bill 151, sponsored by Alderwoman Peel, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, wherein the Board of Aldermen appropriates equitable development contribution funds related to the city boundary, St. Louis redevelopment area to the Affordable Housing Commission for the purposes of supporting affordable housing, containing the severability clause and containing an emergency clause. The following board bills were reported out of the Streets Committee with a due pass recommendation. Board Bill 126, sponsored by Alderwoman Peel, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, Alderman Boyd, Alderman Vaccaro, Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Bosley, Alderwoman Schweitzer, Alderwoman Tyus, and Alderwoman Evans. An ordinance recommended by the Planning Commission approving the renaming of the entire length of a public street in the city of St. Louis, Children's Place, extending between Euclid Avenue on the west to Taylor Avenue on the east, to be renamed to Nash Way to celebrate the accomplishment and cultural impact of Dr. Helen Nash on the St. Louis region. Board Bill 170, sponsored by Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. An ordinance recommended by the Board of Public Service to conditionally vacate above surface and subsurface rights for vehicle, equestrian, and pedestrian travel in the southern feet of the 20-foot wide north-south alley, also known as Cabaney Way in City Block 4547, as bounded by Clemens, Clara, Enright, Goodfellow, and the city of St. Louis, Missouri, as hereinafter described in accordance with Charter Authority and in conformity with Section 1.4 of Article 21 of the Charter, and imposing certain conditions on such vacation. That is the extent of second reading of board bills.
Dispense with line item 14, perfection consent.
Board Bill 164, sponsored by Alderwoman Ingracia, Alderwoman Davis, Alderwoman Martin, Alderman Coulter, and Alderwoman Evans. An ordinance recommended by the Board of Public Service of the City of St. Louis, establishing public works and improvement projects within the City of St. Louis from Shuttle Avenue to Washington Avenue, from Shuttle Avenue to I-64, and River City Casino Boulevard to Dover Street, containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 153, sponsored by Alderman Coulter. An ordinance recommended by the Board of Public Service to conditionally vacate above surface and subsurface rights for vehicle, equestrian, and pedestrian travel in a triangular shape excessive portion of 7th Street beginning at Marion Street and extending northward 465.65 feet along City Block 377 to a point in the city of St. Louis, Missouri, as hereinafter described, in accordance with Charter Authority and in conformity with Section 1.4 of Article 21 of the Charter, and imposing certain conditions on such vacation. Board Bill 154, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Public Service to conditionally vacate above surface and subsurface rights for vehicle, equestrian, and pedestrian travel in the easternmost foot-wide east-west alley in City Block 2212, as bounded by Gratiot, Teresa, Papin, and Grant in the city of St. Louis, Missouri, as hereinafter described, in accordance with Charter Authority and in conformity with Section 1.4 of Article 21 of the Charter, and imposing certain conditions on such vacation. Board Bill 156, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis. An ordinance recommended by the Board of Public Service to conditionally vacate above surface rights and subsurface rights for vehicle, equestrian, and pedestrian travel in a triangular shape excessive portion of Delmar beginning at Grant Avenue and extending eastwardly approximately 272.285, abutting City Block 1062 in the city of St. Louis, Missouri, as hereinafter described in accordance with the Charter Authority and in conformity with Section 1.4 of Article 21 of the Charter, and imposing certain conditions on such vacation. Board Bill 157, sponsored by Alderman Coulter, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Public Service to conditionally vacate above surface, and subsurface rights for vehicle, equestrian, and pedestrian travel in an irregular strip of Dr. Martin Luther King, an irregular strip of 9th Street varying in width, the 16-foot wide east-west alley in City Block 174, as bounded by Convention Plaza, 9th Street, Lucas, and 10th Street in the city of St. Louis, Missouri, as hereinafter described in accordance with Charter Authority and in conformity with Section 1.4 of Article 21 of the Charter, and imposing certain conditions on such vacation. Board Bill 158, sponsored by Alderman Coulter, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Public Service to conditionally vacate above surface and subsurface rights for vehicle, equestrian, and pedestrian travel in the southern 53 feet of Cole Street from 7th Street to 10th Street in the city of St. Louis, Missouri, as hereinafter described, in accordance with Charter Authority and in conformity with Section 1.4 of Article 21 of the Charter, and imposing certain conditions on such vacation. Board Bill 161, sponsored by Alderman Page, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Public Service to conditionally vacate above surface and subsurface rights for vehicle, equestrian, and pedestrian travel in an irregular portion of Cochran Place to appoint said areas being part of a cul-de-sac in the city of St. Louis, Missouri, as hereinafter described in accordance with Charter Authority and in conformity with Section 1.4 of Article 21 of the Charter, and imposing certain conditions on such vacation. Board Bill 162, sponsored by Alderman Page, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Public Service to conditionally vacate above surface, and subsurface rights for vehicle, equestrian, and pedestrian travel in north-south alley in the western east-west alley in City Block 271, as bounded by Cole, Tucker, Dr. Martin Luther King, 13th Street in the city of St. Louis, Missouri, as hereinafter described in accordance with Charter Authority and in conformity with Section 1 of Article 21 of the Charter, and imposing certain conditions on such vacation. Board Bill 163, sponsored by Alderwoman Howard, pursuant to ordinance number 70333, as amended by ordinance number 71395, an ordinance directing the Director of Streets to install speed humps to calm the flow of traffic on the 4900 block, 5100 block, 5200 block, and the 5300 blocks of Sutherland Avenue as hereinafter prescribed. Board Bill 166, sponsored by Alderwoman Ingracia, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, authorizing the Department of Health to accept COVID-19 response grant assistance through the epidemiology and laboratory capacity, enhancing detention expansion award of up to $1,444,604 from the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services contained in emergency clause. Board Bill 168, sponsored by Alderwoman Ingracia, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, authorizing the Department of Health to accept a National Association of County and City Health Officials implementing overdose prevention strategies at the local level grant of $500,000 contained in emergency clause. Board Bill 169, sponsored by Alderwoman Ingracia, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, authorizing the Department of Health to accept an additional amount of $55,000 of the amended COVID-19 response grant assistance through the epidemiology and laboratory capacity CARES award from the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, bringing the total appropriation under such award up to $126,150 contained in emergency clause. That is the extent of perfection consent calendar.
Alderman from the 10th, you recognize on the motion for the perfection consent calendar.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I move that we adopt the perfection consent calendar.
Moved by the
Second.
Alderman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderman from 22nd. Any discussion? It's been moved and seconded that we adopt our the perfection consent calendar. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Board bills for perfection.
We have none.
Third reading consent.
Board Bill 149, 155 as amended, and Board Bill 171.
Alderman from the 10th, you recognize on the motion for third reading consent calendar.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I move that we adopt the third reading consent calendar.
Second.
About Alderman from 10th, seconded by Alderman from 22nd. Any discussion? It's been moved and seconded that we adopt our third reading consent calendar. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Tyus,
Aye.
Alderwoman Middlebrook,
Aye.
Alderman Bosley, Alderwoman Evans,
Aye.
Alderman Page,
Aye.
Alderwoman Negracia,
Aye.
Alderman Coder, Alderwoman Rice,
Aye.
Alderman Gunther,
Aye.
Alderman Balmer,
Aye.
Alderwoman Martin, Alderman Stevens,
Aye.
Alderwoman Schweitzer,
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Green,
Aye.
Alderman Oldenburg,
Aye.
Alderwoman Peel,
Aye.
Alderman Todd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer,
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderman Vaccaro,
Aye.
Alderman Narayan.
Aye.
Alderman Cone,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
President Reed,
Aye. And Madam Clerk, I'm going to ask you to start at the top and redo this roll call. Because I'm seeing a lot of, and I don't know if a bunch of people are just having video problems today, but we really need people to turn on their video even for that second to vote. So please start from the top, the roll call for this. So it's been moved by Alderman from the 10th, seconded by Alderman from 22nd, that we adopt our third reading consent calendar. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Tyus,
Aye.
Alderwoman Middlebrook,
Aye.
Alderman Bosley, Alderwoman Evans,
Aye.
Alderman Page,
Aye.
Alderwoman Negracia,
Aye.
Alderman Coder, Alderwoman Rice,
Aye.
Alderman Gunther,
Aye.
Alderman Balmer,
Aye.
Alderwoman Martin, Alderman Stevens,
Aye.
Alderwoman Schweitzer,
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Green,
Aye.
Alderman Oldenburg,
Aye.
Alderwoman Peel,
Aye.
Alderman Todd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer,
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderman Vaccaro,
Aye.
Alderman Narayan,
Aye.
Alderman Cone,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye. Aye.
President Reed,
Aye.
Alderman Bosley, Alderman Coder, Alderwoman Martin, Alderman Muhammad. 24 aye votes.
I vote to sustain the motion of Alderman from the 10th and 3rd read and finally pass the aforementioned bills. And thanks, I want to tell you all, thank you for your indulgence. We have to make sure we definitely get that right, especially on this third reading calendar. And I know a number of people have been having video problems today. Third reading report of engrossments.
Board Bill 149, 155 as amended, and Board Bill 171.
All other business being suspended, the president shall in open session affix his signature hereto to the end that these may become law. First reading of resolutions.
Resolution 176, sponsored by Alderwoman Tyus, an election to fulfill a vacancy in the office of Ward Alderman.
Alderwoman from the first, you recognize on the first reading of resolution 176.
Mr. President, members of the board, I'd like to send resolution 176 to the Streets Committee. I do want to note that I did talk to the alderman from the 10th about doing that, and who's the legislation. There's some time constraints, so we need to hear this. I will be asking all the members who are on the legislative committee to join the Streets Committee and having a joint hearing about this. But its time is of the essence, so I did not step on any toes. I did call before I did that. I asked that it be sent to the Streets Committee.
All right, it's been moved by the Alderman from first to sign resolution 176, the streets, seconded by the Alderman from 22nd. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, please make note of that. Assign resolution 176 to streets.
So noted. Resolution 177, sponsored by Alderwoman Tyus, handling of nuisance complaints in North St. Louis.
Alderman from the first, you recognize on the first reading of resolution 177.
Almost cannot, Mr. President, members of the board, I asked the clerk to read this resolution. It's long, but it makes my blood boil, because one of the things that's going to come out in here that in 5 years, we got one nuisance property closed in all of North St. Louis. We spent $750,000 on one of the people who's supposed to handle this, and we got one property closed. So please read the resolution.
Madam Clerk, can you please read resolution 177?
Resolution 177, whereas the city of St. Louis has a viable interest in making sure all residents of the city of St. Louis enjoy equal opportunity to quiet enjoyment of their homes and neighborhoods. And whereas the zoning laws of the city of St. Louis establishes zoning districts which are established to regulate and restrict the location and use of buildings and use of land for residential, commercial, and industrial uses. The districts regulate and limit the intensity of the use of lands and the density of population. Districts also regulate and determine the size of yards. And whereas the city is divided into 12 districts, A, single family dwelling district, B, two family dwelling district, C, multiple family dwelling district, D, multiple family dwelling district, E, multiple family dwelling district, F, neighborhood commercial district, G, local commercial and office district, H, area commercial district, I, central business district, J, industrial district, K, unrestricted district, and L, Jefferson Memorial District. And whereas when a city residents move into housing or commercial space in a particular zoning district, the zoning district allows the resident to have an expectation as to the intensity of the use of land in the community, that location and use of buildings, that use of land, residential, commercial, and industrial uses, as only certain uses are allowed in each district, with some allowance for conditional use. And whereas if a city resident moves into a home located in located in an A, single family, or B, two family dwelling district, the resident could rely that those districts would mostly be residential with some compatible exceptions such as parks and churches. And whereas some zoning districts, such as an F neighborhood commercial district, were established to preserve those commercial and professional facilities that are especially useful in close proximity to residential areas. The district is designed to provide convenient shopping and servicing establishment for persons residing in the immediate neighborhood to satisfy those basic home and personal shopping and service needs, which occur frequently and also require retail and service facilities in relative proximity to places of residence. So as long as such are compatible with and do not direct from adjacent residential uses. And whereas the city of St. Louis, in order to further its interest in making sure all citizens in the city of St. Louis enjoy equal opportunity to quiet enjoyment of their homes and neighborhoods, has over the years enacted several nuisance ordinances for those citizens and residents that do not follow the laws of the city of St. Louis and create public nuisances which are detrimental to the safety, welfare, and convenience of the inhabitants of the city or part thereof, or any act or condition so designed by statute or ordinances that the latest nuisance ordinance for the city of St. Louis is ordinance number 69730. And whereas the ordinance clearly states that the public nuisance that are legal under the ordinance and the procedures to follow is the ordinance is if the ordinance is violated. These procedures include such things as a letter, an administrative hearing, and the closing of property for a year. And whereas throughout the last 20 years, there are multiple properties that have created a nuisance all over the neighborhoods in North St. Louis, but have been allowed to remain open and continue negatively affecting the community and are detrimental to the safety, welfare, and convenience of the inhabitants, have shootings, murders, and other negative behavior, and said nuisance properties often force the residents in the community to move or speak openly about moving. And whereas the city council's office, the conditional use board, the zoning administrator, Department of Public Safety and Office, and the Board of Adjustments are often those that seem to allow these nuisance properties to remain open. Whereas the sponsor of this resolution has become frustrated with turning in complaints and hearing not only her constituents, but residents all over North St. Louis complain about why certain dangerous and nuisance properties were not shuttered in their neighborhoods, but were allowed to remain and illegally prosper, that she requested of the last 5 years by ward of the properties that were closed by administrative hearings, and was not shocked to learn that in 5 years in all of North St. Louis, the person from the city council's office assigned to handle administrative hearing in police districts 5 and 6, which cover most of North St. Louis neighborhood, had only managed to close one property in 5 years. Now, therefore, let it be resolved by this Honorable Board of Aldermen of the City of St. Louis, investigating the handling of nuisance properties, the granting of conditional uses in North St. Louis, the handling of appeals to the Board of Adjustment regarding conditional uses, the Building Division, the Public Safety Department, and any other department or division in the City of St. Louis that continues to allow nuisance and unsafe homes and businesses to illegally survive and thrive in North St. Louis, while continuing to violate our laws and help run law-abiding citizens in North St. Louis away from their home. Introduced this 11th day of February 2022 by the Honorable Sharon Tyus, Alderwoman of the 1st Ward.
Alderwoman from the 1st.
Mr. President, members of the board, if I would allow the members of the caucus to address this issue, we would be here until this time next year. Okay. I particularly want to speak to for a minute about why I introduced this resolution. 2 weeks ago, we had a triple homicide in the 4900 block of Cobrillion, which is a very quiet little street. And the only misfortune they had was they're one of the few streets that are still open to Kings Highway. But 1 block down and a block over, there's a store at Hammett Place in Euclid. That store has been a nuisance for over 25 years. Before it was taken out of the 20th ward and put into the 4th ward, I had a clamp on it. So we had almost killed it. But over the years, not only have they thrived and survived, they are open and notorious. So much so that the former public safety director who lives around the corner from this place called me while he was the public safety director and complained about the store. I said, public safety director, you're in charge of that. How is that happening? But 2 weeks ago, these people left that store and they do rolling drug deals now. They don't do houses so much anymore. So they do these rolling drug deals. And so they call each other and tell them where to meet. They got out in the middle. They meet at parks, quiet neighborhoods. They don't look for any place the police will look. They got out in the middle of the street and they shot each other up with 3 people dying there. One person ran back to the store where all this problems happens. So the police chief in his, I know the police chief for a long time. In fact, he grew up in the old 20th Ward. And so he called me and we talked about it. And he said, Alderwoman, you've been dealing with that store about 20 years now. And I said, nope, 25 years. But my blood boiled because how can the police and everybody else know about a nuisance that's been going on for 20 years and it's really been 25 years? And why is that open? And that's not an exclusionary tale I can tell. I have at least 5 places in my community where I can tell you where the nuisances have been ongoing over and over and over again. And when we go to try to close them down, there's always excuse to keep them open. So how can these people be an asset, or these businesses be an asset to our community when they are causing people to move away? Around most of these sites, there are vacant properties because people just want to get away from that. And we also have houses like that. And I started a conversation with the nuisance attorney that's assigned to North St. Louis, which I don't want one attorney to be assigned to North St. Louis because they have too much power on not doing anything. Because anytime you've made over $750,000 and you closed only one property, you should be fired. We should take that out of the budget. So here we are making all these dangerous things. The Alderwoman from the 27th can tell you that story. All these Black aldermen can tell you these stories. So how is it that they're still open in our community? Aren't we citizens of the city of St. Louis also? Don't people care? And again, so this made me really sad. And what happened is on the 4900 block of Cote Brillion, there was a man, a Reverend Jones, who was 103 years old. He died last week. But the last thing that happened, he was out there and actually went in the house right before the shooting. He loved where he lived. And the last thing that he gets to remember before he died was this triple homicide on his street that has nothing to do with that street and everything to do with a lot of people not doing their jobs, okay? And I do want to tell you that after I started investigating the city councilor's office and how these public nuisances were handled, my husband's family has a 4-family flat that we have been calling about dumping behind it for 2 years. In fact, they just put a camera. We got a nuisance letter saying that we were being a nuisance. So I think that is retaliatory, but I love that because they don't know who I am. Let's roll with that. We're a nuisance. You can actually send me a nuisance letter because I've been calling for a couple of years about people dumping behind our building, but you cannot close up. And I'm telling you, Salamas gas station, I will name names. There's a store at Shreve and Natural Bridge where the owner's son got murdered and killed. They have had police video there. They have had cameras. We can talk about all kinds of places in the 4th Ward, but you send me, as in to send me a message, game on. Come on, send me a message. I want to hear that message that you send to me because I have absolutely no problem in addressing it. But I'm saying I didn't speak to South St. Louis because I can't tell you what's happening, but I can tell you in North St. Louis, all over, this is happening with people who do not live in our community and people who are making these decisions on the Board of Adjustments, conditional use, building division. All these people, they don't live in my community, but they're making the decision that it is all right for it to happen in North St. Louis. And that is the whole dialogue we hear when the press says, oh, something happened in Tower Grove East, something happened in Benton Park, but when it happens in North St. Louis, we got 50-something neighborhoods. It only happens in one whole North St. Louis because that is a mission out loud that's okay what happens because it's only Black people that live over there and that's okay. And we expect it to happen over there while our people are raising hell about it happening. But it is the prior 2 administrations that have let it fester and go on. And this has to stop. I don't care who comes after me, come after me with everything you have. Sue Phelps, I want to say your name. The young lady that's up in public nuisance, that used to be Judy Lane. I want to say your name. I want to say names, okay? I'm fine. Bring it on, because we are going to stop that this year. We are not going to let nuisances happen in North St. Louis. This is Black History Month. So let Sharon Tyus go on the record, Black History Month, saying this ends right now. All the people who are letting this happen should be put off of the Board of Adjustment. They should be put off of building inspections. I found where they illegally changed zoning in my ward. I have been investigating. I'm good. So all I'm saying is that this has to stop right now. And that is why I'm introducing this resolution. And for Reverend Jones, who is now going on to glory, I am so sad that the last thing he experienced on his street, and thank God that he went in the house right before it happened, was a triple murder that absolutely had nothing to do with his street, but everything to do with the people at the city of St. Louis not doing their jobs. And so I'm going to ask that it be sent to a committee, but I see that the alderman from the 23rd, because I had called him about it going to streets, but he has his hand up. So I don't want to move for it to go to a committee without him weighing in.
Okay, so you want to hear if the alderman from the 23rd would like it to go to his committee, but
right, because I had talked to him, but if he changed his mind, I don't want to make that motion without him.
Right. Alderman from the, would you like the alderman from the 23rd to yield?
If she would just, I just have a comment.
Alderman from 23rd, home, sir. I need to make sure.
Yes, Mr. President, I would.
Sorry.
All right, Alderman from 23rd will yield it. Alderman from the 1st.
Yes.
All right, Alderman from the 1st, please proceed.
Mr. Chairman of Public Safety, I see your hand up, so I wanted to know what your concern, because I was going to send it to streets where you sit and Alderman Boyd, but if you have concerns, I don't want to step on toes.
I have no concerns. I was listening to your talk, and I guess I should wait till it comes to committee, but I agree so much with everything you just said that even south, and I know that you have a lot of issues north. We had one house that was a drug house that went back even before me. That finally, so I guess I got into your speech and I'm like, I'm with you.
So from the 1st. Alderman from 1st is a master at working these resolutions, by the way, because just for some of the new members. So under the resolutions calendar, you are allowed, the primary sponsor of that resolution is allowed to speak on that resolution before making a motion. So what Alderman from the 1st just so masterfully done, she spoke very in depth about that resolution, but she still plans to send it to committee. And the motion to send it to committee, under the motion to send it to committee, the only thing that's really up for discussion would be what committee it would go to. And the broader discussion would be the next time around. Alderwoman from the 1st.
I don't want to, so I yielded to Alderman Carl, Mr. President, so I can't leave the women hanging. So I saw Alderwoman from the 14th with her hand up. So I'm going to ask if she would yield.
Okay, and again, for everyone, the only thing that we technically should be discussing on this resolution right now is what committee it goes to. So if you have a question about what committee it should go to, that's why you would raise your hand and weigh in on that today. When it comes back the next time around, we will get into the much broader discussion. But as I said, as I laid out already, the Alderwoman from the 1st is a master at at the presentation of these resolutions. So I want to make sure everybody stays intact. So the Alderwoman from the 14th has her hand down now.
Okay. I do have a question though.
Okay, Alderwoman from the 14th.
Pertinent to that.
If you would yield.
To the committee assignment, Alderwoman from the 1st, Alderwoman from the 14th, we yielded Alderwoman from the 1st.
Yes.
Okay, Alderwoman, I only did that because that was the only way I could let you speak. So now you can say what you want.
I wanted to know why the decision was made not to put it in public safety, because I think this is a real issue with the city's public safety.
We can have a joint meeting. I did call so we can have a joint street and public safety meeting. I have no problem with that. And also, now I've heard from some people saying, and I have that problem too, so maybe we will change the resolution in committee to make it something about citywide.
I agree, because this isn't just, we won't detain this with more conversation. We can hold that in committee.
Yes.
But yeah, we can discuss that later. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderman from the first, you still have the floor.
And I want to, again,
You
if
want
the
to
Alderwoman
recognize
from the fourth would yield.
Alderman from the fourth will yield the question to the Alderman from the first.
Yes,
Alderman
I
from
don't,
the first, please proceed.
Okay, Alderwoman, if I'm now yielding the floor to you, so you can speak.
I just wanted to know if this is the appropriate time for me to have my name added to your resolution.
Okay,
All right.
Mr. President.
Yeah. Yes, you can do it now.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So
All right. Thank you. But the better time is when you.
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm not gonna. Mr. President, I'm gonna finish my motion to send it to Streets Committee.
All right. It's been moved by the Alderman from the first that we assign resolution 177 Streets, seconded by the Alderman from the 23rd. Any discussion? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion
Mr. President, so it's gonna be streets and public safety together on
I'm
this.
gonna ask for a joint hearing.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's going to be Streets is controlling it, and Streets will invite members from public safety to the meeting, but the vote will be by the folks from Streets. All right. Madam Clerk,
That is the extent of first reading of resolutions.
second reading,
We have none.
miscellaneous and unfinished business,
We have none.
announcements.
Wednesday, February the 16th, 2022, Streets will have a meeting at 10 a.m. via webinar. Public Safety will have a meeting at 1 p.m. via webinar. Friday, February the 18th, 2022, full board meeting, 10 a.m. via webinar. That is the extent of the announcements.
All right, Alderman from the 26th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a couple of announcements here first, because I'm standing in the gap for some other people. On the 17th, the Legacy of Homer G. Phillips Hospital is an in-person, also a virtual option presentation by the Missouri History Museum. It's from 5:30 to 8 p.m. Dr. Priscilla Dowden-White will be there to do panel background, a lot of background information for a lot of people. I know that Homer G. Phillips and his legacy has been up for discussion a lot here lately, so that's a good opportunity for people to become even more informed and aware on that. Tonight, I'm excited that I'll be able to support the youth at Better Family Life. I am Better Family Life's Auto Lady too. They are performing the Kite. Drum Warriors are performing in the Teen Talent Competition at the Fox Theater from 8 to 10 p.m. This is an amazing opportunity. You know, we want our city to thrive and be sustainable. We have to support our youth any way we can. So again, that's tonight. Those tickets are free. You can go online. You do have to register, but they're free. Tomorrow, you've heard me talk about this all month, and we'll continue to talk about it. To Deaf Diamond Diva Access Foundation. Tomorrow is their drive-through pickup for the love packages, the full-size personal hygiene items that we've been collecting for people, especially our survivors of domestic violence. It's from 12 to 3 at O'Fallon Park Rec Center. And this also continues because we know that it's going to still be a need. So here at the Board of Aldermen, we have committed to still collecting items until the end of the month. So if you didn't get your items in by tomorrow, you can still support this need through the end of the month at the Board of Aldermen. There's a bin outside. And then, you know, the city of St. Louis has some amazing people in it. So I have to shout out Dr. Terry Harris. I am Dr. Terry Harris's Auto Lady too, and it's his birthday. Happy birthday, Dr. Terry Harris. Thank you for your commitment to our children, to our youth, to our city, not just through your work in education, but through your work at the Collective STL Black Yoga Studio down in Old North St. Louis. So thank you, Dr. Terry Harris. And then one of the most important and most valuable people here down at the Board of Aldermen, I know she gets probably shy and smiling and wonder what I'm going to say, but happy birthday, Sharita, girl. We could not have done this without you. Don't let nobody think we could have done it without you, because we couldn't have you and the rest of the staff. We are just blessed here at the Board of Aldermen. So happy birthday, Sharita, sis. Enjoy your weekend.
We're gonna sing, we'll try to sing to you in a minute, Rita, but I have allergies, so don't expect me to be in tune. Alderwoman of the 13th.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, members of the board. I have two announcements today. One of them is that next week at the board meeting, I'll be introducing a resolution to change our rules to prevent driving during our board meetings and committee meetings. I think that I'll channel my inner mom here and just say that, you know, it happens too often and we need to be safe. We need to make sure other people are safe. And I think it's time. That said, I'd love to go back in person as soon as we can. So that's not even ever going to be an issue for us. I'd love your input. So if you have anything that you'd want to make sure was in there or have any thoughts or questions, please reach out. That resolution I'll send around as soon as I can early next week. My second announcement is one, a thank you to Alderwoman Christine Ingracia for all the work she's put in with the Safe Haven Shelter. I volunteered for a few hours yesterday and my mind was just blown by all of the needs that space has. So if you have the ability to donate time or things like socks and Nutri-Grain bars and snacks, things like that, they're open until the 12th. And I just want to say thank you so much to Christine Ingracia for all you've done. It's truly amazing. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time.
Alderwoman Ingracia, thank you for your work. Alderwoman Schweitzer, thank you for your volunteering down there also. Alderwoman from the first.
Mr. President, members of the board, besides the street meeting that we will have on Wednesday at 10, which we will deal with board bills, on Thursday, we will deal with resolution 176 regarding the election. And I will be sending out an invitation to all the people that are on the legislation committee to also join us on that one. So because we're going to bring the Board of Election and the city councilors and people to deal with how they're doing this election, which affects us because it's to fill the 28th Ward Alderman. I wanted to separate that out. So that will be Thursday at 10 o'clock.
All right, thank you. Alderman from the 25th.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I would like to announce a Transportation and Commerce Committee hearing for next Wednesday at 9 a.m.
All right, Madam Clerk, please make note of that. Transportation and Commerce next Wednesday at 9 a.m. Madam Clerk.
So noted.
All right. Alderwoman from the 8th.
I really just want, I think.
Hold on for a second. I want to make sure some of the hands that were up, they didn't take them down. Alderwoman from 27th had her hand up at one point. Then the Alderwoman from the 8th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I really just wanted to add on, first of all, my gratitude to Alderwoman Ingracia and the entire crew of people that is keeping the Safe Haven Shelter up and running right now. And if anybody has time to jump in and volunteer, please get in touch with Christine. It's incredible work being done over there. And just wanted to add my massive thanks to Madam Clerk. I heard you said we were going to sing, and I don't know if I'm going to open my mic for that, but we all know that we could not have done this, particularly these nearly 2 years online without you. Thank you so much for all of your tireless work. Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday again to the clerk. Alderwoman from 27, you had dropped off and you came back. I don't know if you are. Looks like your hand.
I'm fine, Mr. President.
Okay, all right. Alderman from the 12th.
Thank you, Mr. President, dear colleagues at the board. First and foremost, Ms. Sharita, I'm glad that we're both 28 now. 28's never looked better, Ms. Sharita Rogers. Okay, I didn't know we were born in the same birth year. But more importantly, I wanted to echo the Alderwoman of the 13th and thank her for her work on the resolution for the rule change. That's the result of a conversation that we've been having with members of the public. And I will call myself out, dear members of the board. I've been a bit bullheaded with it and she's been more graceful. So my thank you to the Alderwoman of the 13th for her grace. But I want to ensure that we do not lose sight of the forest, with this one specific issue. So I would like to put a call out to the Alderwoman of the 1st, the dear Alderwoman of the 1st, to start engaging in conversations, and I have not reached out to her yet, but about how we can work around a preemption in state law to address distracted driving for all citizens. And there are 2 municipalities that I know of in Missouri that have found workarounds or act in defiance. So Alderwoman of the 1st, I welcome yet another conversation with you, or tea if you'd like. Members of the board, I want you to be aware, coming this next session, I have at least one more in me. And we have to push against the state to make better change for our citizens. We have for so long been a brick wall. I'm ready to be a brick that is thrown. So please keep your eyes out for that. I welcome all of your collaboration. Change is on its way and it must be done. So thank you, Mr. President and members of the board, and Alderwoman of the 1st. I'll be giving you a call. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman from 12th. Alderman from the 6th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate the kudos of some of my colleagues for the Safe Haven Shelter. In case folks were not aware, 2 pop-up shelters have been operating off and on for the past couple of months when the weather gets extremely cold. We are very grateful to St. Louis University for hosting us, for Bethel Church for hosting, Unhoused SCL and Ramona Curtis, who ran one of the pop-up shelters. And we had tons of volunteers, but specifically many people who had full-time jobs that volunteer with Tent Mission St. Louis, Horizon Housing, St. Patrick's Center, the VA, who are sometimes working 12, 14, and 16-hour days between their day jobs and volunteer shifts. And so as members of the board who allocated $16.4 million in ARPA funds to address unhoused issues, including winter services in the city of St. Louis, we should not be having to pop up unfunded volunteer-led shelter space. We have the money to do this well with government funding. So I would encourage all of us to make sure that we are moving that funding forward in a much quicker pace than we have been to date, and that we revisit this when we start discussing our second trough of ARPA funds. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Alderman from the 19th.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the board. I just wanted to recognize Heat Up St. Louis, and I'm hoping that all of us had an opportunity to either volunteer for their annual fundraiser and or make a donation. We do know that we have a lot of people who require assistance for their utility bills, and even though we have all the additional money, we still haven't put it on the street yet to assist with that. But they have been in business for over 20 years. They do an excellent job in partnership with other nonprofits. And I appreciate what they do. And most especially, I want to give a shout out to the founder of that Heat Up St. Louis, Cool Down St. Louis, Gentry Trotter. And my last thing I would like to say is, if you do nothing else, if you see one of our first responders, please say thank you. I tell you, I actually got nervous last night. I heard so many sirens for like a 3-hour period, like they never stopped. I can't even imagine what they are going through with the rate of crime and overdoses and all the other things that they respond to. So at least say thank you, and or drop something off at the firehouse or at your Central Patrol, North Patrol, South Patrol. Just say thank you, because they are truly, truly working hard. That's all, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Alderman from the 23rd.
Yes, just a quick whatever. We're talking about singing happy birthday to Sharita. My friend Greg texted me, do we hate her that much that we are going to sing to her? And it might be more of a punishment. And I thought, yeah, it might be right, but I think we should still sing to her.
All right, okay. Everybody, mic's on. Let's try to get this done. And I'm going to turn mine to low. All right. On Dree, let's give a happy birthday. Let's sing happy birthday to Sharita. 1, 2, 3. Happy
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday,
Sharita.
happy birthday,
Happy birthday to you.
That was terrible.
Ta-ta-ta.
Sorry, but
That's incredible.
Oh my God, this is blackmail material.
this is terrible.
Not great.
Yeah, I bet you won't let us, you'll try to slide by next year.
I appreciate it. I really do.
President
Thank
Reed,
you.
you were supposed to be directing
I
us
know.
so we could have been in unison.
See, there's a lag in video, so everybody's coming in just a little slow. But happy birthday, Sharita. I hope you know that we so much appreciate all the work that you and our clerk Terry Kennedy and all the staff do each and every day. So thank you. Hope and pray that you enjoy your birthday.
Thank you all so much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Before we move to excused alderman and adjournment, we had a former alderwoman, Nancy Weber, who passed away this week. I didn't have the pleasure of serving with Nancy. She was she served on the board in the mid 90s. Alderwoman Tyus and also our clerk, Alderman Kennedy, would probably be able to speak more to her legacy. But I know that she worked tirelessly here at the Board of Aldermen. Alderwoman Tyus, I don't know if you want to speak to it and take us, we're going to do a moment of silence for her.
I would. So Nancy was one of the people who was here when I got here in 1991. The clerk was also here. Nancy Weber was ferocious about the second ward. Her precious Baden, you better not put a piece of paper down in that that community. I mean, I thought Baden was like a different world because, it was a German heritage, but Nancy was on it. She cared about it. She was fastidious about it. If you were trying to do something that was not right in the second ward, Nancy would come and have a talk with you. And, she was from working class people, but that to me, that serves you well often because sometimes you don't know boundaries. And so you just get right out there. So that's what Nancy would do about the second ward. She served until she was ready to retire from it. She was never beaten. And she was a fantastic alderwoman in the second ward. And I just now am hearing about this, so I am really sorry. I want to extend condolences to her family, and to just let you know that from one of the last, I'm the only alderperson still on this board that served with her, that I miss her, and I want to extend condolences to the family and say what a great person she was. And this Board of Aldermen cares deeply about you and your family and want you to know that we care and offer our condolences regarding the death of Nancy Weber.
Thank you, Alderwoman. That was perfect. Alderwoman from the 19th.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the board. I want to give my condolences to the family. I actually was employed by Nancy Weber. I was the housing director for the 2nd, 3rd, and 5th ward, all at the same time. And so I worked very close with her, and I know how hard she worked. She was, when you're on the ground like Nancy was, and she was not trying to be so particular or so important. She just wanted to get the work done and got it done. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoyed working for her. But I'm so sad to hear that. And I hope that we send a formal recognition to her family for them to have on behalf of her service for the city of St. Louis. Thank you.
Absolutely, we will. Thank you to the Alderwoman from the 1st and Alderwoman from the 19th for giving us those words. We'll ask that the entire board and people who are watching, please join us in a moment of silence in remembrance of Nancy Weber and her contributions, and also prayer for her family and friends at this most difficult time. Thank you. Alderman from the 10th, you recognize on the motion to excuse.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I move that we excuse the alder persons from the 7th, 11th, and 21st wards.
Been moved by the Alderman from 10th. Entertain a second on that motion.
Second.
Nobody wants to.
I was gonna call you your number. See, you were the first to unmute. I was gonna call your number anyway. Who, saying a second, I'm sorry, I missed that second.
Alderman 14.
Alderman, seconded by the Alderman from the 14th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Man, you know, this board is too compliant. I never get a no on the excuse motion to excuse. All right, Alderman from the 10th, you recognize on the motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I'll be happy to handle this unless the Alderman from 22nd wants to take a whack at it. All right. What we will do, we'll make a motion to adjourn to February 18th, 2022.
Moved by the Alderman from 10th, entertain a second on that motion.
Second.
Second by the Alderman from 4th. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thank you. See y'all next week.